Our planet Earth is a dynamic place, teeming with life forms of all shapes and sizes. In studying life, we have determined that there is one thing that all known life is dependent on: water. And our Earth is surely a water planet, with 71% of the surface covered in water. Here we are sitting over the Pacific Ocean above our islands of Hawaii. We'll move across the Pacific Ocean in order to find the deepest part of Earth's ocean, the Marianas Trench, which comes off the coast of Japan, around the Marianas Islands, and around Guam. If you were to dive into the Marianas Trench, you would stop seeing the sun's light at about 200 meters below the surface. But the deepest part of the trench drops to a depth of about 11,000 meters. Imagine a place so deep under the ocean you could never possibly see the light from the sun, and yet there are life forms living in the deepest sections of our ocean. But Earth is not the only place in our solar system which has oceans. There are other interesting and unique oceans elsewhere across our solar system. Let's explore some of these unique worlds. Backing away from Earth, we note our planet's unique position around our sun. We are within the habitable zone, or the Goldilocks zone of the sun. This is an area where it's not too hot and not too cold in order to maintain liquid water on the surface of a planet just from the heat coming from the sun. However, other places in our solar system are able to maintain liquid water or an ocean through other factors, not just from the heat of our star. We are journeying into the outer solar system, to the region of our gas giant planets. These enormous planets are able to host whole families of moons. The largest of the gas giant planets is Jupiter, and Jupiter has 75 moons and counting orbiting around him. As we approach this king of the planets, we are going to find a moon which has been intriguing astronomers for decades, and that moon is named Europa. Europa is around the same size as Earth's moon, but as we examine the surface, we see the surface is not made of rock. It is actually made up of ice. Europa is actually one of the smoothest bodies in our entire solar system. We estimate that the surface of Europa is a giant sheet of ice, estimated to be about 3 miles thick. And beneath this layer is a salty, slushy ocean of liquid water. But how can this ocean maintain its liquid form so far away from the heat of the sun? The answer is that Europa experiences tidal heating, where Jupiter's great gravity pulls on Europa in one direction as it orbits, and the other large moons of Jupiter pull on the moon in different directions, which causes the moon to stretch and squish and squash, creating a bunch of friction beneath Europa's surface. This friction provides just enough heat to allow the ocean to maintain a liquid form. Some astronomers also speculate that this friction can allow Europa to be geologically active, and at the bottom of Europa's ocean, we might be able to find thermal vents, similar to the black smokers we find in Earth's oceans. As Europa is abundant with water, many astrobiologists consider Europa to be the best place to search for other life in our solar system, as all life that we know of needs liquid water to survive. But what would this life on Europa be like? Would this life look like humans, or would it look like other life that we know of on the planet Earth? Would we be able to even communicate with this life that grew up on a world so far away from the sun underneath an icy shell in a giant ocean. However, Jupiter is not the only gas giant with an icy moon. We'll back away from Europa, leaving it behind, in the company of the other moons of Jupiter. We'll go to the next largest gas giant planet, the beautiful planet Saturn. Saturn is most famous for his very large and very beautiful system of rings. But just like Jupiter, Saturn has many different types of moons orbiting around him, including some moons that are fairly similar to the moons that we saw around Jupiter. We've been getting a lot of good information about the moons of Saturn due to the Cassini spacecraft. The Cassini spacecraft orbited around Saturn for more than a decade and carefully explored Saturn's ring systems and its beautiful systems of moons. One moon captured Cassini's attention, and that was Enceladus. Enceladus is very similar to the moon Europa around Jupiter. Enceladus also has a nice icy surface, and we think that there could be pockets of liquid water ocean beneath this icy surface. As Cassini was orbiting around Saturn, we were able to get a lot more close-up images and data about Enceladus. One of the most intriguing parts was that there are ice geysers shooting water off Enceladus' surface. These plumes, these geysers, are able to provide extra material into the rings of Saturn. But so far, as we've been exploring possible oceans elsewhere in our solar system, we've mainly been looking at oceans of liquid water. But have you ever thought about the possibility that there could be an ocean of something else? Well, astronomers have discovered a completely new type of ocean around another moon of Saturn, and that is the moon Titan. So let's go take a look at the moon Titan. Titan is the largest moon of Saturn. And when the Cassini spacecraft first started to study Saturn and its many moons, one of the first things that Cassini did is it dropped a lander onto the moon Titan. Now, as we're looking at Titan, you'll notice that it doesn't really look like much. It kind of looks like a fuzzy peach. We're not really seeing any surface features. And that's because when we look at Titan, we are looking at the tops of clouds in Titan's atmosphere. When Cassini dropped the spacecraft Huygens onto the surface of Titan, we determined that Titan has a full atmosphere full of clouds. These clouds rain down liquid onto the surface of Titan. That liquid collects in streams and rivers and oceans. But Titan is very, very far away from the sun. It does not receive that much heat from the sun. So any liquid water out here would freeze unless it's being heated in other ways. Here, the liquid on Titan is actually methane, which is able to maintain a liquid form at a much colder temperature. On Earth, we have methane in the form of gas. Methane is most famous on Earth for natural gas or from cow farts. So here we have an ocean on a moon far away from our sun, completely composed of liquid methane. When we think about the possibilities of life elsewhere in our solar system, we also want to consider the possibility that life might be based off of something else. While all life that we currently know of needs liquid water to survive, maybe there could be life that could survive on liquid methane. And underneath that possibility, Titan becomes a very interesting place for us to explore. Those are some of the other interesting places in our solar system and a couple oceans that are outside the oceans of our Earth. Thank you for visiting us today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.